Bit and bridle. My name.
Okay, we're recording. There's Grandma, Andrew, Benja, Jeff, me, and Kaylin. Go.
Is test anxiety an issue for you? Do you dread taking that test that may be the all-important determining factor of who you are and your future success? Is this a fair determination of who you really are? I don't think so. Every year sees a new batch of high school kids fretting and preparing for their big college entrance exams. The University of California faculty leaders recently announced a study launched aimed at finding out whether SAT and ACT tests accurately predict college success. If you have been through high school or are still in high school, chances are you are familiar with college entrance exams, commonly referred to as the SAT or ACT. The SAT was introduced back in 1929, and the ACT was introduced in 1959 as a competitor to the SAT. Both of these entities are privately owned. As you prepare for college, you will probably encounter at least one and perhaps more than one entrance exam for a fee. Although I never took these tests myself, I've been through this process with both of my teenage daughters. I've seen my older daughter take the test prep course guaranteed to increase her scores for a fee. They did not. My younger daughter is at the top 5% of her class with a 4.0 GPA, and she does not produce a test score any UC will consider. First, I will describe the recent issues that have fallen on the standard college entrance exams. Second, I will show you what steps the universities and colleges across the country are taking in regard to these exams. Finally, I will give you some advice on how to make your personal decision whether or not to take an entrance exam or submit your scores. Even though these tests are seen as a rite of passage as you proceed through high school and hopefully onto your college goals, I am giving you evidence that they no longer need to be the reason to hold you back. These tests have been put to the test in recent years. The first big media break on the SAT's reputation was not long after the test was redesigned in 2016. Many students new to the test did not score well. Students paid a fee for test prep in order to improve their scores. Many of the students did see a significant improvement in their scores by a few hundred points. The College Board took this improvement in overall scores to mean that this test was easier than the previous test, therefore scored it on a curve. This left many students who earned higher scores on their second test actually receiving lower scores. More recently, this past August 2018, the SAT's reputation has been put through the ringer once again. Some students taking the test for a second time recognized questions and answers. It was brought into question whether College Board used a recycled test. Many universities and colleges have stepped up their investigations on the validity and necessity of these college entrance exams. Some want the most prestigious universities to make the standardized test optional. According to the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, more than 1,000 universities across the country, including the prestigious Chicago University, no longer require these tests, which have come under growing criticism. A major study of nearly 1 million college applicants showed the test did not fully identify the talented students who are capable of college success. Some argue these tests automatically place the low-income applicants at a disadvantage because they cannot afford the expensive test prep courses and tutoring. Some on the UC review panel have already decided the test requirement should be dropped. According to UC Regent Eloy Oakley, who is also the head of the California Community College System, it is more of a measure of wealth than it is a preparedness. It has created a whole industry around test prep, and it really does nothing to help a university determine who is the best applicant. So I think it should be gone. The UC Student Association supports dropping the test requirements as part of a push for equity. According to Caroline Segal-Singh, the organization's president and UC San Diego political science major, she knows from experience that high school's scores can be bought. A friend spent $7,000 on test prep and increased her score by 400 points to get a near perfect score. According to Caroline, we see the SAT and ACT as a gatekeeper to keep certain students out. College Board owns the SAT, and the ACT is administered by its own organization. Together, these two organizations have the monopoly on college entrance exams, fees, and your future. Many of the questions on these exams are subjective and have multiple answers that could be deemed correct. However, the exam is screening to see if you have a particular ability to choose their correct answer. These tests are designed to fit a specific perspective on problem solving, which automatically eliminates anyone who does not fit the profile. Did you ever take one of these? I have just informed you on what has brought these tests into the media spotlight. Now let's look at the pros and cons of taking a college entrance exam, according to Jackie Mandert at Union College in Syracuse, New York. If you plan to take a standardized test, chances are you have been sold on the idea that this is the only way to ensure your entrance to the college of your choice. Today, this is probably still true, but change is coming. The pros of standardized testing are argued as the following examples. The SAT and ACT are quickly administered and objective assessments. They are an easy measure to use when awarding scholarships, particularly for students of low-income families. This allows the Board of Education to assess schools and teachers and hold them accountable. The recognized cons of these tests are the following examples. Test anxiety may be the number one con that holds students back from showing their ability for college success. The recent history of testing problems such as leaks, cheating, SAT redesign problems, ACT writing section problems are all serious concerns of test credibility. The tests are biased against English language learners, students of color, and socioeconomic status. Colleges have seen applications increase after going test optional, which means colleges can be more selective and diverse. It is interesting that it is claimed, both as a pro and con, that the SAT and ACT have and do not have the power to predict a student's GPA from the first year of college through their graduation year and on to their likelihood of future income success. In conclusion, today, I first described how college entrance exams have recently been brought into question. Second, I showed you how, due to the questionable validity of the SAT and ACT, many universities and colleges are deciding to drop the test requirement for college admissions. Finally, I gave you some advice on how to make your own educated decision on how to best present yourself for your college admissions. There is no correlation between high SAT, ACT scores and the retention rate of college students. If you have found yourself or your child one of the many high school students facing SAT or ACT this fall, I hope that some of what I've shared with you today will be helpful in your college planning. More colleges are considering going test optional because of all the cons of standardized testing. After the SAT's recent redesign, about 60 colleges went test optional in 1 year. These antiquated tests that are owned and controlled by only 2 organizations have for generations been seen as a mandatory requirement for students anticipating a college future. This old school agenda of selection needs to become a thing of the past, and many of our universities and colleges are finally looking in this direction. I'm not telling you to forgo your SATs or ACTs. By all means today, you still need them. However, when submitting your test applications, be critical in considering which colleges should get your test scores. Don't waste your fee waivers on test optional colleges. Find out what materials need to be sent in lieu of testing. There are other ways you can show colleges that you shine. Keep an eye on your transcript. If your high school transcript shows test scores, these will be visible to colleges, even if you decide not to send them in. Finally, and perhaps most important, if test anxiety is an issue, you should consider exploring the many universities and colleges that are test optional. So are you going to decide to take your SATs?
She's pretending you're a high school student. If you're going to community college, you